Hello everyone, Jak Syn here on behalf of TourFiend.com and Future Daze, and today it's another exciting episode of Artist Interviews. Today I'm sitting with Matthew Setzer, who's been in a slew of awesome projects, from oHgr to Skinny Puppy to Indradevi, Kanga, London After Midnight, and his newest project, Timur and the Dime Museum. How you doing today, Matthew?
I'm good, Jak. It's good to see your face again.
It's good to see your face too.
Yeah, I don't know how many people know that you and I toured together a couple years ago, and there were some good times on that tour, Jak.
I tell you, know what? There were some really amazing times on that tour. I loved every minute of it. You know what I mean? Like being on the road, hanging out with you, and everybody was great.
Oh my God, like the Airbnbs and our friend Dara and parking in front of Lovecraft in Portland was like, I talk about that all the time, just how mad my friend Greg, the other guy in Indradevi, got, and then how mad you got right after that.
That is definitely a memory that goes down in the history books right there.
Yeah, that's a tour story of mine. That one got me. That one got me good.
Dude, and believe me, you got plenty of tour stories, I'll tell you that.
I do.
So today, we're going to ask you a couple of questions and see where it goes from here. You ready to get into it?
Let's go.
What are three of your most memorable moments performing live?
You know, the first two I came up with right away. The third one took a little thinking for me to figure out. So I'd have to say, an immediate thought was my first real tour. That's when I played with London After Midnight. It was in 2008. We were in Russia, and it was the first time the band had ever been to Russia. And the Gothic scene in Moscow was just insane. And it was just like one of those moments where it's just like every second takes like a million years, and then the whole thing's over in like the blink of an eye. So it's like there was like a reality time warp shift in that moment, and it was the first time I'd really gotten like into a larger band, and I wasn't playing for crowds that I knew everybody in the crowd personally because I made them come to my show, you know. And here I am in Moscow, and these people don't speak English, and they know all the songs, and they're really into it. And it just reminded me of why I left home to pursue music, and I thought I was making a difference. And that was heavy. That was heavy, man. And okay, so that was one. The next great moment I can think of live that just like instantly comes to my head is I'm playing guitar for Skinny Puppy, which is still weird when I say that because I can't believe I'm in that band. And we're at Gas Monkey Live in Dallas, Texas. And I usually stand on stage right, house left. I'm usually on stage right, but I was on stage left. And so like and it was the beginning of a song called Dog Shit. And it's got this real cool, like kind of punchy, like industrial funk kind of sound, like stabby beginning. And all of a sudden like that same thing happened in Moscow 10 years earlier. That same thing happened where all of a sudden, bam, I'm growing up and I'm in my brother's bedroom, and I have an older brother, and his favorite band is Skinny Puppy. So like to this day, I still get all of my new music from my brother Ben. And he's been a great asset to me, and he like showed me what good music is, because growing up out in the countryside in Montana in the 90s, it was really hard to just know what scenes were going on, music, magazines, music videos, God forbid, just anything. It was so hard to just know what's going on out in the real world. So the song starts, and I'm standing there, and all of a sudden it's like I remember hearing this song in Ben's bedroom, listening to this, and all of a sudden I'm like looking through the world with the eyes of a child, and I look over, and there's oHgr, and I'm like, oh my God, that is oHgr from Skinny Puppy. And I look over my shoulder, and Kevin Key is like right there. I'm like, oh my God, that's Kevin Key. And then I look at this huge crowd of people there. It was a great show. And I was just like, what is happening? And then, I got to start playing like real soon. And I like had to snap out of it, man, and start playing. Cause I was like, it's just like, it all hit me at once. It was great, man. It was, it was like, good grief. That was the same show. Here's a quick tour story. That was the same show because I play with these in-ears, so I can hear like my guitar really well, the tracks and oHgr singing, whatever. And I'm playing and I'm back on stage left because oHgr and I, we kind of do this switch where it's like, if he walks over to my side, I walk over to his side. So I'm standing on stage left and I'm playing and all of a sudden my guitar sounds insane, totally crazy sounds coming out of my guitar. I was like, what's happening? That's not right. And I look over and oHgr is stepping totally accidentally, that he's stepping all over my guitar pedals. And he's like destroying my sound over there. And he has no idea. He's just like stomping on stuff. And I'm like, well, if anyone says anything and if anyone gets angry at me, it's the big guy's fault, okay? It's not my fault. So that's my defense. Okay, so the last great performance, live performance I had was with that band Timur and the Dime Museum. The one that's about this long to say and it's very, very difficult. I went to Cal Arts I went to art school at Cal Arts and we all met there 12 years ago now. And we've always had this band and it's taken on different shapes. We were on America's Got Talent once, which was terrible. But we did all these Klaus Nomi songs. It was like weird opera stuff. And eventually we met an opera producer named Beth Morrison, who's now a dear friend of mine out of New York. And we did a show called Collapse and we wrote an album and we recorded it and it's fantastic. It's a requiem for the planet Earth. So it's all about environmentalism and a lot of the songs are tongue in cheek and it's trying to be accessible. It's like using humor or folly to talk about big, like big things. It's kind of like fairy tales or a lot of cartoons. So we did some shows at Red Cat in LA, Miami City Lights in Florida, and then we went to Opera Dog in the Netherlands. And then we did a few shows, like a whole week of shows at BAM in Brooklyn. That's the Brooklyn Academy of Music. And that's like a good venue. It's like where you want to go. And so we played those shows and enough people came, like actually bought tickets. Because the way that opera works, it's not like rock and roll or the kind of music that you and I are into, Jack, because that's driven by ticket sales. And it's very stable and strong because of that, because of the money flow. The money's going in the door. With opera, it's a lot of underwriters, it's a lot of fundraising, it's just a different way to make an art form. So, and that applies to Timur and the Dime Museum for a lot of these theater shows that we were doing. And what ended up happening at the band shows is we had enough people come in the door that the whole thing paid for itself and we were actually profitable. And that to me was like a great success. That was a really good feeling. So that's my long-winded answer to your question, Jack.
Those are some pretty amazing stories right there. I'll tell you, you got plenty of them. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Like you being like, okay, you playing in Russia with London After Midnight. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was pretty amazing. Looking over and seeing, like being in that Russian crowd where, like you said, nobody speaks English, you know what I mean? But they know all the words to the songs, and you're just finding your way through it. I mean, that was amazing. And then the memory you're talking about with, with oHgr and Skinny Puppy, being able to be up there and like triggering that childhood memory for you. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of artists out there that like, I mean, how many artists out there can say, oh my God, I listened to this artist when I was younger, and now all of a sudden I'm in this band right now playing with this artist. It's freaking insane.
I would have never believed it.
But it's just amazing to me, and you really like rock it up there when you play live. I mean, you really put your heart and your soul into it with everything that you do. So thank you for constantly pushing every time with every project that you're in.
Thank you, Jack.
What would you say is your favorite album / EP that you've worked on?
I'm gonna have two. I would say the last album I made with Indradevi with my friend Greg, it's called Idols. I feel like the writing process in that was very fluid. And with my collaborator, we just really, it went so easily. It was almost like I didn't trust it because it was so easy. And I think we just figured out how to do this project together, and it flowed super easy. It was a lot of fun. Not a lot of BS to put up with. The mix down wasn't miserable. My mastering guy, I'm super happy with my mastering guy, Sean, and it was good. It was just nice to like not suffer terribly to achieve an album and feel good about it. That was like pretty simple answer. My slash other album was that album I did with Kanga. It was her first album that she had me play guitar on, and I recorded all of her vocals for that. And she came over to my place, and she's a very good engineer. Like technically speaking, she is a very talented woman. And I think I recorded the whole album in 2 or 3 sessions. It was so fast. It was like so fast because, you know, I could sit there, plug in, we could dial in a sound, and she was like, yep, I like this. And I would just do like 10 takes of everything. And then she's like, great. And then she could just take it and go edit it and snip it together and mix it and do whatever else. It was incredibly efficient. And it sounded great. Reese Fulber did the rest of the production on it. And it just sounded great. And it was so easy. Oh my God. I wish that was the case every single time.
Those are some pretty rad releases, I'll tell you that. I mean, they do have really great production quality. I mean, you know, like what you're doing with Indradevi, I mean, I'm blown away every time I listen to Indradevi. You know what I mean? I'm blown away with how, like, the sound has progressed, you know, like, over the years, like, where it was to where it is now.
Big stuff.
I mean, you guys, I mean, you and Greg, like, really have a really special relationship, you know, with the way you guys produce your music and the way you put it out. I mean, it's really great. Yeah. It really flows really, really well. And you guys really do know how to work really well under pressure too, because I mean, I know there was a couple times on tour, you know, when we were having like some shows, it's like you guys were like, okay, we got to fix this and get this going and get this done. And, yeah.
I do pretty well under pressure. It's okay, but man, you know, I actually listened to the first Indradevi album yesterday, like all the way through, and it's a really good feeling to listen to a song that you made that maybe you haven't listened to in a while. And I'm like listening to the song just in my little headphones, and I'm like, this song is amazing. Jeez, this should have been the single. It's like, did I write that? Did me and Greg actually make this song like right out of the gates? It's like, good grief. So that's a good feeling.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. I know I'll do the same thing. I'll go back and listen to certain things, and I'll go, you know what? Why didn't I push this more? Why didn't I play this more live? Like, what's up with that?
Hey, Jack, I'll do you a favor. Next time you and I hang out, I'll play some songs from my high school band. I am terrible. I didn't listen. I always rushed. It was like this weird punk band with like a metal drummer. Oh God, it was like insane. We sold 100 CDs at my high school. We sold 100 CDs. It's like amazing, you know?
Well, you know what? If you share that with me, I will share my high school releases with you, and we can do a high school release day, and we can listen to what we were like in high school.
That is not. No, I am not releasing that. That does not exist in digital format. Okay.
Believe me, I will dig out my old albums. I will dig them out, and I will show you what it was like back in 2001, 2002. Yeah, right there.
I remember that old song, "Initiate," from your old band.
Oh yeah, from the Loader. Yeah, wow, that was.
That's gosh. Right. I remember that song. It was like, that was a catchy song, man. I remember seeing you guys in Koreatown at that upstairs venue. Where they had Malediction.
Yes. Oh man, I don't even know the name escapes me, but yeah, God, that was such a while ago. Wow. What was the drive behind getting you into making music and performing live?
Like I mentioned earlier, I grew up in the country in Montana. There's not a healthy music scene here. And the bands that I really liked, like Rage Against the Machine, Tool, whatever, the bands that I was into being a kid growing up in the 90s, they were all from LA, or they all like got signed in LA, or like LA was the place to go. It's like New York wasn't interested, Chicago not interested. It's like I can confidently say that nobody in the state of Montana has my lifestyle. Really, it's just there's no market for it. So I had to go somewhere, and so I decided to move to Los Angeles. And this is like when people had CDs, and you would like really get into like, a CD because it's $15 and you're, chopping wood or mowing lawns or something for money. And it just, there were just all these gatekeepers involved to release music. And then when you hear it or see something that resonates with you, it was like whispers from over the horizon, like those old Tool videos. It's like, what is this? Show me more. Ah. And it was just a thing I was really into. And I spent a lot of time alone listening to music. And I started playing guitar like sophomore in high school, maybe as a junior in high school. It was kind of late. I'm not like I didn't play guitar my whole life. I used to play bass and piano and violin and, school orchestra stuff. But when I got my first electric guitar, it was this Stamic guitar that came with the amp, and the strap, and like a terrible cable that almost worked. And that's all I wanted to do. I'd go home every day and just practice guitar for like hours. That's all I did with the whole schedule. It was just like, all I wanted to do was play guitar. I'd go play the national anthem at the basketball games or whatever. I would just do anything to play my instrument. But it was too much like practicing and not enough like playing in a band or gigging. But I learned all that later after I went to college and got in some bands. Man, and how it started, I don't know. I did have a moment though where I'm pretty good with sciences, and I got accepted to an engineering school, and I was going to go be an engineer, and I still think I'd be a hell of an engineer. And I'd already like looked at these colleges, and I got in, and okay, so I'm gonna go be an engineer or do something in science. And the whole time, a part of me was just saying, like, no, that's really not what you should be doing. Like, yeah, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you care about it. And it was very disingenuous. And like I remember senior year of high school, I went right from high school into music school. Second semester senior year, I was like, what am I doing? I don't want to be an engineer. That's ridiculous. It's like the only thing I care about is making music and playing music, and that's what I'm gonna do. So that's what I did. So I had that moment of clarity, the truth.
Exactly.
Jack.
I mean, you felt it inside of you at an earlier age. You were just like, this is what I want to do. This is what I feel. This is who I am inside, and nobody's going to change it. I'm going to do what I got to do. It's kind of like, you heard the story about Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman was like, he went to war, all that kind of stuff, and he was like, you know what? I want to be an actor. So I'm going to do anything that I can to become an actor, no matter what. And, and look at where it took him. I mean, to some really amazing places. So it's like when you have that feeling inside of you where every waking moment you kind of go, this is what I want to do. This is who I am inside. It doesn't matter how good I am at something else. All of that is secondary because this is what I want to make happen in my life.
Yeah. And I think the super important step there is knowing what you want. That's the thing, is knowing what you want. It's like, this might be a stupid example, but have you ever seen that Billy Crystal movie called City Slickers?
Yes, I love City Slickers.
So funny. We just watched it recently, but
me too.
Quarantine, Jack. Quarantine. So Curly, the cowboy, he says, you just got to find that one thing. He's like, well, what is it? He's like, you got to find it. You got to find that one thing. It's like, wow, that's some cowboy wisdom right there. But it's good. So I found that thing. I got lucky.
You did find that thing. You got lucky, and you did find that thing. You know what? You were like, you know what? Hey, music. That's it. Case closed. Whatever I got to do to make it happen, I got to do it. And here we are. You came from Montana, came all the way out here to Los Angeles, and look at where you're at now. You were all over the place. All over the place. And I think there's also, we're probably going to touch on this towards the end of the interview when you say, is there any like positive messages to say? One I'll interject now is luck, because I had some lucky things happen, really. I've never auditioned to be in a band. Like growing up in Montana, it's like, oh, those auditions are going to be terrible. It's like, I have never been to an audition. I always get a phone call. Someone tells someone about me, it's just not how that stuff works. But I really believe that you make your own luck. You put yourself into a position and just got to be that person. And that's where luck comes from. Like that kind of luck. I don't mean like winning the lottery or finding a nugget of gold on the street. That's just like, you can't control that kind of luck. No, you can't. I mean, I always like to say, trust in your abilities, trust in your skills, and great things will happen. As long as you put yourself out there in the world, things will happen for you. Yeah, lean on it. Lean on it. Make yourself available. Yeah, it's just like if you lean on a wall, it pushes you back. It's pushing you back. So if you push on your creativity and your musical impulses, it'll push back. Like you're not going to push it over. It can handle it. So push, man. What are you looking forward to accomplishing the most moving forward? Well, it's been a crazy couple of years. A lot of gigging, a lot of touring, but also like I think I'm like kind of folding over as my artistically right now, and I'm in a really good place creatively right now, which is absolutely phenomenal. When I was at Cal Arts, I was very much avant-garde. I did a lot of work with like sensors and interactive software called MaxMSP, with this interactive video software called Jitter that I used a lot. So I used a lot of cameras and video tracking and sensors on dancers that were moving around, controlling the sounds. And it was all very avant-garde, and it was different. It was very different and avant-garde. And right after I graduated, I went on my first real tour. And so then I went from the avant-garde into production music. And the production music matters because people hear it and people experience that. A lot of avant-garde stuff does not break out. So I really learned the value of putting yourself out there and making yourself vulnerable, even if it's a more commercially viable and commercially successful medium. And so, going forward 12 years, where I'm at now is, okay, I've done a touring thing. I've played in a lot of other bands, and I love that. I'm going to keep doing that. But what I'm interested in is moving an art form forward, like some kind of a progression. And so I'm really into hardware hacking, and I love this music producer named Sylvia Massey. Do you know Sylvia Massey, Jack? No, I do not. No, I don't. Check her out. She has a book. Like, get her book. It is just amazing. Like, she does all these weird things with, like, she puts a light bulb in series with a microphone and a power amp, like a 2,000 watt power amp. And when you talk into the microphone, the light bulb lights up, but it messes up the sound. And so she's using light bulbs as filters, and like fluorescent light bulbs and all this weird audio hacking stuff, which I am totally into. And it's just brilliant. And that to me really turns me on and really gets me inspired and creative. And I'm like, that's what I need to lean on right now. That's what I need to lean on. So I'm reworking my my live music setup with like speakers on my guitar that are gonna like cause controlled feedback.
a transducer up at the neck of the, or up on the headstock. I'm going to use a shotgun mic. I'm designing a thing with a shotgun mic where the sound for my guitar is gonna be fed by a shotgun mic, is going to be fed into the guitar to get resonant frequencies and feedback, but with the shotgun mic, like real narrow field, so you can pinpoint things. I'm making a guitar cab that has a bunch of little speakers into big speakers, and so I can point it around that thing while I'm like holding a note with this shotgun mic. I can get the different nodes of an overtone series in the feedback structure on that guitar with the shotgun mic, or I can point it at the crowd or point it at the PA system. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm totally into that. And such a great thing about playing in a band like Skinny Puppy, where it's not a metal band, you know, it's not like the whole time. There's a lot of weird soundscapey stuff going on. There's a lot of freedom of creative expression with weird sounds. And every time we go on tour, it's like, what are you bringing to the table? You know, everyone changes everything up every time. It's a very healthy, creative environment versus like other bands I've played in that's more like, this is what you play, that's it. And I'm like, not interested in that, you know, whatever. So yeah, I'm getting much more into like mixing avant-garde or different styles into the music that I make already. So I'm not like radically changing the sounds and the music I want to make. It's just the way that I realize it is different. So the interface that I'm using, the musical interface, is going to be different. And you can find new sounds and new songs that way. A great source of inspiration I'm finding right now is YouTube, actually. YouTube is amazing. There's so many audio hackers on there. There's this Italian guy I'm obsessed with right now. He's called The Vape, like the vape pen. He just calls himself The Vape. I haven't heard him speak any English, and he just makes these ruckus noise-making devices. And I love the guy. He's just great. So I would suggest you look that one up, Jack. It's really good.
I'll definitely have to check him out. You know what? That's so great that you're sharing that with me there. The art form that you want to push forward. I mean, that's what drives the music forward, is the thinking out of the box, the creativity. I mean, nobody ever got anywhere by staying inside the box. Nothing was ever propelled forward by in the box thinking. It's all the out of the box thinking, all the crazy, like weird, different things that pushed us forward as a society, as a people. So being able to explore what you're exploring with, the artistic side, I think is great. And I look forward to hearing more of that. And what you were talking about, like oHgr and Skinny Puppy, it's like every time you go to see oHgr perform and Skinny Puppy perform, it's always weird. It's always different. It's always outside of the box, outside of the norm. There's always something different. And it is amazing, like visual art, but sound art as well.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I cannot wait to see what you got cooking.
Yeah, now that I'm telling people about it, I have to do it.
Exactly.
And that's fun. But it's like kind of what led me into music is just finding your inspiration. It's like it's sensitive, it's a delicate, being creative and inspired. It's a delicate little thing. So when you are inspired and something really turns you on, that's what you should be doing.
Exactly. Listen to the passion. Listen to you getting turned on. Because if you get turned on by what you're doing, then it's the right thing.
Yeah. Great. Love it.
What positive message would you give your fans out there?
We've in this interview, Jack, we've really had this kind of thematic arc of following your inspiration and just like listening to yourself and just being in tune. I would say just like practice your craft. Like I play guitar. I do a lot of studio stuff also, but like I'm a musician on the guitar. I play piano and stuff. I'm just like a noise maker. It's like I got to do that. So I lean on that and just really listen to your inner child. It's like, your inner child's going to have temper tantrums. but your inner child is also where your pure creativity is coming from. So be nice to yourself, be good to yourself, and like let yourself into an environment where you can just really listen and communicate what your, you know, deep insides are saying. And, you know, amazing things happen. Like that's the other thing. Like amazing things really can happen. You know, you can make a living as a musician, really, even today in 2020. And it's a wonderful community. You know, your best friends are going to be other musicians. You know, it's not competitive. It's not, it's, you know, it's only a bad lifestyle if you choose to make it that way. You know, I've had a wonderful time in music and enriched life, and I'm very thankful for that. You know, you can always, it's the curse of a driven person, is you feel like you're never doing enough. You know, it's just like, ugh. And so I've learned to recognize the peaks and live it up and just like bear it through the valleys.
And those are some really wise words there. Thank you for sharing that with us. I mean, it really is true. It's like, listen to your inner child, listen to that inner voice inside of you, and practice your craft, because that is important. And you really can be successful as a musician these days. You really can. And all it takes is the drive. It takes that drive. So don't ever lose your drive. Everybody out there, listen to Matthew Setzer right here. Do not lose that drive, because that is very important. And be creative, be crazy, think outside of the box, toy around, you know, tinker around with different sounds, and like go nuts, throw paint at the wall. You know, if you're an artist, you know, or a painter or a drawer or whatever, like scribble on the walls. It doesn't matter. Just go nuts with what you got around you. If you like the sound that a fork makes on a pot, bang the fork against the pot, record it, make it into a song.
If you like it, then do that.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for taking this time to sit down and have this conversation with me, Matthew. Thank you to everybody who tuned in to watch the video. To everybody out there, be sure to like and subscribe to our Tour Fiend YouTube channel, as we have more amazing interviews on the way. To everybody out there also, be safe, stay safe, dream it, build it, and let it grow. Thank you so much, Matthew, and I look forward to seeing you once again in person when this is all over.
Ah! Okay, Jack, I got a pitch for you. You ready for it? It's about a show that I would listen to. I think that you and Street Cleaner should have like a stand-up comedy show, or like a call-in show. Because you two, and me and Greg have figured this out. You two are some of the most hilarious people that I know personally. And it's like, man, like you two just need to like talk about throw out a subject, you know, like someone can like type it in or phone it in, be like Mountain Dew, talk. And then I just want to hear what you two end up talking about.
Oh my God, I'm gonna pitch that to Jesse right now. I'm gonna pitch it to him. I'm gonna message him right now.
You should. You really should. I think it would be so funny.
Well, you know what? We're gonna make this happen, and you're gonna see it. Watch, you're gonna see it definitely.
Okay. Yes, I will listen to it. I will watch it. I will support it. Oh, it'll be great.
Well, you have a great rest of your night, and I will see you soon.
Thank you, Jack. Say hi to Evie again.